one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it because you can.
Hey guys, remember Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky? That was the no-knock raid. Well, there's an update. A former police officer in the state of Kentucky has been convicted of violating the civil rights of Breonna Taylor, the black woman whose death in a police raid prompted racial justice protests across the United States in 2020. Officer, or former officer, Brett Hankison. He's the former Louisville police officer who was convicted on one count of civil rights abuse. And he was convicted this past Friday with a 12-member federal jury determining that he used excessive force on Breonna Taylor during the raid. Now, Hankison fired 10 shots into Taylor's glass door and windows during the raid, but did not hit anyone. Some shots flew into a neighbor's adjoining apartment.
And was it your perception that that muzzle flash was coming from your brother officers?
No, sir.
What did you think?
I knew Sergeant, excuse me, I knew Sergeant Mattingly was down, and I knew they were trying to get to him. And it appeared to me that they were being executed with this rifle.
So what did you do?
I returned fire.
3 of those shots entered the neighboring apartment, and 2 people inside at the time testified earlier at Hankison's trial.
I saw Ms. Napper, Mr. Etherington up here for the first time, and I felt sincere empathy for them. That was something, if my daughter was shot at or bullets came into our house, that would be very concerning, and I apologize to her for that.
Taylor, an emergency medical technician or EMT, was asleep with her boyfriend on March 13th of 2020 when police conducted a no-knock raid and burst into her apartment. Taylor's boyfriend fired once at what he said he believed were intruders. 3 police officers responded with 32 shots, 6 of which struck Taylor, killing her. Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, celebrated the verdict this past Friday with friends outside the court saying, "It took a lot of time. It took a lot of patience. It was hard. The jurors took their time to really understand that Breonna deserved justice." Hankison is one of 4 officers charged by the U.S. Department of Justice in 2022 with violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights. He is the first to be convicted, and he faces life in prison. Bye-bye. He is set to be sentenced in March of 2025. Prosecutors said Hankison acted recklessly and violated one of the most fundamental rules of deadly force. If they cannot see the person they're shooting at, they cannot pull the trigger. 2 other officers remain charged with falsifying a search warrant affidavit. Last August, Kelly Goodlett, a former police officer in Louisville, pleaded guilty to a federal conspiracy charge in relation to the killing of Breonna Taylor. Goodlett became the first officer to be held criminally responsible for that raid. Taylor's killing at the hands of the police, along with that of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, and others, prompted mass protests demanding an end to police violence against black people across the U.S. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark said this last Friday, "The Justice Department will continue to vigorously defend the civil rights of every person in this country to be free from unlawful police violence." And there you have it. Brett Hankison, federally convicted, and now he'll be sentenced in March this coming year. The dominoes are falling. The dominoes are falling. And I think it's getting to the point where now justices, talking about judges and so forth, are seeing things that they're like, you know what? Even prosecutors now are saying, hey, these guys are acting unlawfully. They're violating rights. They're violating policies. You know, this prosecutor said of Hankison, he acted recklessly. The Assistant Attorney General says we're going to vigorously go after them. So the dominoes are falling. What do you think?